Hi, this is Dan Blank. Welcome to Soccer iQTV, the Shutout Pizza edition, where we look at goals scored and turn them around and look at the defending point of view and see if we can find things the defending team could have done differently to perhaps prevent the goal. Today we have a Division I women's soccer goal, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so let's set the stage here. We have the dark team attacking the goal to the left. The white team is obviously defending that goal. This is a really quick clip, and everything happens pretty fast. So we're just going to let it run through once at full speed, and then come back and start breaking it down a little bit. So here we go. See a little seam ball inside of the left back, across, and a doorstep finish. So let's take another look at this thing in slow motion. Seam ball through one seam, attacker through the other. They meet on the opposite side of the defender. And then it's the smart cross, low and hard, into the six, and it's an easy finish. All right, so when I first pulled this clip, I didn't know there was going to be a whole lot we could learn from it. I didn't know I would have a whole lot to offer, simply because it looks pretty self-explanatory. There's a giant gap between the left center back and the left back, and then it's just a simple little seam ball, and then like I said, a smart cross, and then an easy finish. But upon further inspection, I found that there's a couple of pretty high level coaching points we could glean from this video. And by high level, I simply mean things that aren't necessarily coached. They're more often mentioned than coached. And oftentimes, even that is after the fact in a video session like what we're doing here. So I think we can pull a couple of really significant moments from this, and hopefully you'll be able to use it with your team. So the first thing I want to start with is down towards the bottom of the screen here, where we see the right back in white. And as you can see at the start right now, she's got good position on this. I'm assuming she's the left wing, and that's ultimately the player who scores the goal. So watch as this play develops. So the right back starts with good interior position on this player, and just keep an eye on this battle here. So she's still in decent position, and then you see this left wing really turn on the jets, and I got to be honest, she looks pretty darn athletic. And by this point here, the right back is beaten, okay? And what she needs to start doing right now is basically recruiting help. She needs to be screaming to her center back that this kid is coming. And, you know, we can't hear what's going on, but I have a feeling that doesn't happen, because if you keep an eye on the right center back, you'll notice she never looks in this direction. And more importantly, her stride never changes. As a matter of fact, if anything, it kind of gets a little bit slower. So as the ball moves into the 18, keep an eye on that center back. All right, so at this point, the right back is out of the equation. If anybody can do anything, it's got to be the center back. And, you know, if she hurries, she might get back in time to cut out this cross. But instead, what we see is she kind of just drifts. She even pulls up a little bit, and then it's all over by that point. So the first point we have to make is, when the attacker gets position on you, man, you've got to sound the alarm. You've got to recruit some help. You've got to scream to your teammates and hope that they can adjust in such a way that makes a difference. But what you can't do as a back four is keep secrets. And you've got to pass information, and this was some really important information that needed to get passed along. And as you see, it looks like the information didn't get passed along, and the ball ends up in the net with quite an easy finish. So that's the first lesson we can take from this. Now, let me also say this. When I say it doesn't get coached much, I know that when we set up a zonal defense, oftentimes, you know, we'll run exercises where defenders have to pass attackers on from one defender to the next as the attackers shift zones. But we don't really address that in a situation like this where the back four is in full retreat. So again, this is a topic that probably isn't going to demand a block of your training time, but it's certainly a video worth watching and sharing with your players, so they kind of get the point of, man, when you give up position, you've got to let your teammates know and hope that they can help you out. So that's the first coaching point. The second thing we're going to deal with is the left back there up at the top of the screen. And we're going to watch her recovery run. Okay, so right now you see there's that giant gap between the left center back and the left back. We see the left back busting her tail to get back. And we'll let this run a little bit. And notice the angle of her recovery. And then, I don't know if you saw that. We'll take another look at it. But right here, I want you to watch. She takes a quick little look to the outside. All right. She takes a quick little look to the outside to spot her attacker. All right. And then what she does that follows is she actually drifts out towards that attacker, and it makes this seam even bigger. So see her, she starts to drift out that way. Now she looks back inside, and basically by this point, the battle is lost, right? The ball's going to go through one seam, the attacker's going to go through the other, and they're going to meet up on the other side, and that's that. So how do we correct this? So what this defender, and she's working real hard to get back. She's put herself in a reasonable position, not a great one, but a reasonable one. So my advice here is, instead of drifting out this way and instead of heading even straight back, that this player angles her run toward sort of the center back zone, all right? And with the objective simply being shrink the seam. So what a run like this would do if we ran to the interior is we're hoping it deters the ball carrier from even playing that seam ball. And if she does, maybe we get lucky and she hits us in the heels with it, all right? But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to convince her to play the ball out wide, all right? Because we want to defend from the inside out. So let's imagine this player cuts her run in here. Now the ball has to get played out in this direction. Now this left back is in a position to defend from the inside out. Again, it's something that's not really taught, but it's worth mentioning. It's worth showing this video. You want to make sure that your players understand what's important. And what's important in this situation is putting yourself in a position where you can defend from goal side. All right, so we try to defend from inside out. That's what I mean by sort of high-level coaching points, things that you don't really spend chunks of your training time working on, things that you're more likely to mention in a video or classroom type setting. But this is a high-level kind of soccer IQ tip for defenders who recognize that the priority has to be closing down that seam and defending from the inside out. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Soccer IQ TV, the Shutout Pizza Files. You can check out my blog and buy my books at soccerpoet.com. You can also visit socceriqshop.com to pick up some cool gear like this Soccer IQ t-shirt. And thanks for tuning in. Y'all stay safe.